Red Square gleams under the spring sunshine of Moscow. Bright red flags and banners with "Great Victory" flutter in the wind. Thousands of soldiers stand solemnly, perfect formation, their polished boots reflecting the sunlight. Tanks, missiles, and heavy military equipment are meticulously prepared, ready to march through the heart of the Russian capital to commemorate Victory Day on May 9th, the most sacred event in modern Russian history, marking the triumph over Nazi Germany in 1945. Senior officials, generals adorned with medals, and international guests sit on the honorary stands. Television cameras from around the world focus on Moscow. And then, in an unimaginable moment, the alarm sirens blare. An attack by Ukraine on Russia's most sacred holiday would be an audacious act, shocking and potentially leading to unforeseeable consequences in the ongoing conflict. This article analyzes the potential scenarios and consequences of such a hypothetical event, with a clear understanding that this is an extremely serious situation with profound geopolitical implications. First, it's important to understand the significance of May 9th, Victory Day, to the Russians. This is not just a regular military holiday, but a pillar of modern Russian national identity. The Great Patriotic War, Russia's term for World War II, claimed the lives of approximately 27 million Soviet citizens, and nearly every Russian family lost loved ones in that war. The May 9th parade in Red Square symbolizes this sacrifice and is broadcasted live nationwide, attended by Russia's highest leaders. An attack on this event would be considered by Russia as an unprecedented provocation, a blow not just against the military, but against the very heart of Russian national pride and identity. Russia's response would almost certainly be swift and decisive. Militarily, Russia's immediate response could include a large-scale air campaign targeting Ukraine's military objectives and critical infrastructure. Decision-making centers, command and control facilities, and even governmental targets in Kiev could become the focus. Russia might see such an attack as crossing the red line, leading to a significant escalation in the intensity of the conflict. One of the gravest risks is the possibility of Russia considering the use of tactical nuclear weapons. Russian military doctrine includes the concept of escalate to de-escalate, using limited tactical nuclear weapons to prevent further conventional conflict escalation. Although Russia's threshold for using nuclear weapons is very high, generally described as only when the state's existence is threatened, an attack on Russia's most sacred symbol might be perceived as an existential threat. Politically, such an attack would immensely reinforce Russian propaganda that they are fighting not just against Ukraine, but against the West in general. It would allow the Kremlin to mobilize domestic support at an unprecedented level since the conflict's inception. In Russian society, dissenting voices opposing the war, already limited, could be completely silenced amid a wave of nationalistic outrage. President Putin, who has repeatedly compared the current conflict to World War II and drawn historical parallels between modern Ukraine and Nazi Germany, would have a powerful propaganda tool. An attack on May 9th would be used by him to prove these claims and justify any subsequent military actions. On the international stage, such an attack could significantly undermine Western support for Ukraine. NATO countries have been careful in calibrating their level of military support for Ukraine to avoid escalating the conflict directly with Russia. An action deemed as unnecessary provocation could erode goodwill and complicate Ukraine's efforts to garner military and economic aid. Neutral countries, or those that have maintained a balanced stance in the conflict, such as India, Brazil, South Africa, and many other Asian nations, might see an attack on World War II commemorations as crossing the line of acceptability. This could further weaken Ukraine's diplomatic standing internationally. China, Russia's most strategic partner, would almost certainly voice strong opposition against such an attack. Beijing might view this as an opportunity to enhance its support for Moscow, potentially including direct military aid, a line they have so far been cautious not to cross. On a humanitarian level, the consequences could be catastrophic. If an attack on Red Square results in civilian casualties, including families of veterans and children present at the event, it could provoke a fierce wave of retaliatory strikes. Russian retaliatory airstrikes on Ukrainian civilian centers could intensify, leading to a significant increase in civilian casualties. Psychologically, an attack on May 9th would obliterate any possibility of peace negotiations in the near future. It would deepen the psychological injury between two peoples with intertwined histories and cultures, potentially lasting for generations. Hatred and a desire for revenge would become powerful drivers in both sides' policies. For Ukrainian leadership, deciding to attack on May 9 would be an extremely risky strategic move. While it might offer short-term psychological benefits and disrupt Russian military morale, the risks of a fierce backlash and the loss of international support might outweigh any tactical gains. Military analysts point out that calculated attacks on Russian military infrastructure, ammunition depots, and logistics centers have proven far more effective in weakening Russia's war effort than high-risk symbolic actions. History also shows that attacks on cultural and historical symbols often backfire strategically. They tend to strengthen the enemy's resolve and fuel hostile propaganda, while diminishing international support. Ultimately, the international community's reaction, particularly from other nuclear powers such as the US and China, would be crucial in preventing the situation from escalating into a larger global crisis. Emergency diplomatic channels would be activated to prevent impulsive, dangerous decisions from both sides. In summary, a Ukrainian attack on Russia's May 9th parade would be an extremely dangerous action with serious escalation risks. It could transform the conflict from a regional war into a much larger international crisis with unforeseeable consequences. While Ukraine has a legitimate right to defend itself against Russian aggression, strategic decisions must consider not only short-term military benefits, but also long-term political, diplomatic, and humanitarian consequences. As Russia continues its aggressive war, Ukraine has shown that strategic restraint and sustained international support are its most powerful weapons. An attack on May 9th would threaten both of these elements and could lead to catastrophic consequences not only for Ukraine, but also for global stability in general.